What is a roadmap? Well, a traditional roadmap is used to get you from where you currently are to where you want to be. A product roadmap is used in a similar way. It's a high-level representation that visually shows your product strategy over time and where you're trying to get to. Roadmaps keep the broader team informed about priorities and upcoming projects. They're also super helpful in answering the question of how all the projects come together. When you communicate out roadmaps, they also become a tool to facilitate discussion with internal stakeholders to see if the priority and ordering is correct, and what the trade-offs are of changing the ordering or trying to accommodate an urgent feature request with the goal of creating alignment. Roadmaps work best when they tell a story about what the team is going to build and how everything is related, and why these projects are so important. You can do this by focusing on themes or goals and linking those specific projects back to those themes and goals, along with an estimated impact. Share your roadmap out with the team and leadership. Roadmaps are great tools that will facilitate conversations asking if we're building the right things at the right time. They're also great tools because they can be used to clarify that in order to accommodate a new request, another project will need to be deprioritized. These types of conversations make sure that the team is all aligned and on the same page. Say no. One of the hardest parts about product management is deciding what not to build. There's an infinite number of features and improvements you can make to your product, and likely you'll have lots of people asking you to build lots of things. But the team has a limited amount of time, so make sure that they're using it on the most impactful efforts. There's a great quote about this. Steve Jobs said that innovation is not about saying yes to everything. It's about saying no to all but the most crucial features. This type of mentality allows the team to focus on the things that really matter and execute with high quality, instead of trying to do all the things and ending up with a mediocre product. And lastly, make sure to attach goals to items on your roadmap. This will help people to understand the impact of each project and answers the question of why this specific thing matters and is important. It also makes it easy to compare how one item compares to another item on the roadmap. Let's walk through a few example roadmaps now. Here's an example of what a simple roadmap looks like. The first column shows the strategic theme or goal. Then, across the first row, you have time. Here I'm showing quarters, but it could be even more granular. Then I've mapped out all of the features and projects that the team will be working on throughout the course of the year. You can see that the team will be working on improving user onboarding and entering new markets in Q1. We expect this work to increase conversion by 10% and allow us to launch our product in 3 new markets. In Q2, the team will continue focusing on improving user onboarding, as well as addressing iOS 13 compatibility issues. We expect feature A to improve conversion by 3%, and the work for iOS 13 will make sure that our app will continue to work with the new version of iOS as people update their phones. In Q3, the team will start the first phase of the migration project, as well as addressing Android 10 compatibility updates. This will speed up our services and allow the engineering team to sunset the old service. The work for Android 10 will make sure that our app works well with new Android phones. And in Q4, the team will complete the second phase of the migration project. Keep in mind that it's helpful that each item on the roadmap has its own PRD, which can provide more details about the specific problem and requirements. Remember, this is just an example of a simple roadmap. You can add a lot more detail and attach even more specific goals and impact. You can also structure your roadmap by team. This can be helpful to see who's working on what and identifying when a team might be overloaded or have some extra bandwidth. This time, the first column shows what teams will be doing the work. And the first row continues to show time, same as in the last example. Let's take the same feature set and map it out by things that each team will be working on throughout the course of the year. You can see that the entire team will be working on feature B in Q1, and it will require coordination across backend Android and iOS teams. The backend team will also work on feature C, and the Android team will also work on feature D. In Q2, the backend team will focus on feature A, and the iOS team will address compatibility issues for iOS 13. In Q3, the backend team will start the migration project, and the Android team will address compatibility issues for Android 10. And in Q4, the backend team will focus on the second part of the migration project. You'll see that the backend team is pretty busy throughout the entire year, but the Android team doesn't have any projects for Q2 and Q4, and iOS doesn't have any projects for Q3 or Q4. This type of layout will give you a sense if the team has some extra bandwidth so that you can squeeze in a few extra projects.